What's up, everybody? This is another episode of Bulldog Uncensored, Season 2, Episode 7. Today I have with me hashtag Unbreakable, you betcha, Mr. Tony Jacobsen, personal trainer extraordinaire, and also patient with OI. So we're going to talk about that today. Tony, how are you?
Good, good. What up? What up?
What's
Hello,
going on?
everybody. It's good to be here today.
Glad to have you. Yeah, so Tony, tell me a little bit about your OI journey, when you were diagnosed, etc.
Yeah, my OI journey started in the warm summer of 1971 when I was born. Pretty much, I wasn't diagnosed until I was about 16 months old, somewhere around there. I had a few breaks leading up to that, broke one femur and then had that casted, came back like 6 months later after breaking the other one. And then that's when the doctors and everybody were questioning what was happening. And fortunately for me, there was a doctor. This was in Los Angeles. That's where I'm from. So luckily, there was a doctor at LA Children's Hospital who knew the signs and was like, "Oh yeah, let's have a look and see if he might have OI." And hence, I was diagnosed at that point. So yeah, it's been. I like to call it, I just kind of briefly call it the OI Fab 4, which is the type. I have OI Type 1. I've had about 75 ish breaks throughout my life, 12 surgeries, and I have metal rods in both femurs and both tibias. So, yeah, and I used a wheelchair when I was a kid, went to crutches in my teens, and started walking in my early 20s.
No, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
No, it's funny because I'm a type of type 2. I know, like back in our day, the Fab Four, as you say, were um, kind of the standard, and now we've got almost 8 types documented.
Oh, there's so many.
Oh,
There's
it's
so many.
insane. I don't even know what the hell
Yeah.
I am anymore.
And it's true that there's so much overlap of the types now. I mean, I know it depends on the DNA, the actual DNA strain,
Right.
but there is so much overlap in the severities. So you never know where you're going to fall.
Yep. So I too have titanium in both my femurs and tibias, um, upper and lower leg. For those of you that don't know all the medical jargon out there,
Right.
apologize. Might sound like we're talking in code, but I promise you we're not. So yeah, so I was diagnosed with birth in 1988, out here in Massachusetts, and they didn't know anything was wrong until they went to do an ultrasound on my mother after her water broke. I ended up being breech, and I had 14 breaks at birth.
Oof. Oh my gosh.
I had both arms and
Wow.
legs and 7 ribs, and they broke my collarbone, taking me out.
Wow.
So I had a rough start.
Yeah, a little bit.
Little bit, but you
Well,
know what?
just even being somewhat of a type 2, it's good you're here because, that's the one that they say isn't going to make it. So,
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, I didn't really find out. Not that anything was withheld from me per se, but it just wasn't something my parents talked about all that much. But um, now that I'm 36, going on 37, uh, we've had those conversations and t hard talks, and you know, uh, knock on wood, thank God, like I'm really reasonably in good health, all things considered. And I am
yeah,
wheelchair bound. I don't see that changing anytime soon. But for those that watch the show or listen to the show, they all know I'm concert promoter, and I also play in a heavy metal band. So that's pretty badass, I think. At least that's what I've been told anyway.
absolutely. Yeah.
So how did you end up getting into being a personal trainer? I mean, OI
Yeah.
folks have our limitations, obviously, but was that kind of due to your own frustration of trying to get any physical assistance with, you know, bettering your physique?
Yeah, I mean, my personal story really came because I went through like my own personal transformation later on in life too. So,
Right,
because of the OI, I was very much not an active person, which most OIers aren't.
right,
And so, even when I started walking on my own in my early 20s, I was still being very careful and I didn't want to break any more bones. So, I didn't move and my health declined.
right,
So, over the next 20 years, it even got worse. So, coming up on my 40th birthday, I was in the worst health that I had ever been. And just beyond the OI, I hadn't broken many bones between 20 and 40, but I was still just, suffering all the consequences of everything. So, in addition to that, I was overweight, facing like chronic fatigue, chronic pain, all the good stuff, all the fun stuff. And so, when I was coming up on my 40th, I was like, really in bad shape. And I started kind of thinking about doing something, but I just couldn't get there, because I was still dealing with a lot of stuff that was OI related as far as mentally, right? All my mental blocks. And so when I turned 41, I ended up going to the doctor because I had pain in my stomach. And he was like, well, let me do an EKG on you to test your heart. And so he did that. And he told me that I might have had a small heart attack. So at that point, the good news is I didn't have a heart attack. That's first of all. Second of all, it ends up I have a bicuspid valve, aortic valve. That's why I was kind of reading the way that it did.
gotcha.
But it was basically that incident that made me realize I needed to do something because I was like, well, this isn't going to fly. I need to do something because, I don't want to die young and I want to get in some sort of better shape for myself. I want to do things I haven't ever done. So for me, that was the point when everything changed. I had to start, really doing the mental work of figuring out how to work with the OI to start exercising. And I at that point I hired a personal trainer, and so it was a great move on my part. He was really cool. He understood. He learned about OI. He worked with me in the right way. And, over the course of like 8 months, I got healthier than I had ever been. So I went through a full transformation. I lost a lot of weight. I dropped a lot of weight. I ended up running. I ended up jumping. I ended up doing like really like big physical things that I had never done before.
That's
So
impressive.
yeah, it was like, I couldn't believe it. It was really like a huge moment. I talk about it in my book. And that was like kind of the impetus for me to say, what I've been through is it feels really good. I know it's very important what I was able to accomplish, and I want to be able to share this with others. So that's why I wrote my first book, Disable Your Disability. It kind of was like, well, now I have a story to tell. So I'm going to tell this story and I'm going to help as much as I can, not only my fellow OIers, but just anybody that is dealing with a physical disability. So through that, I wrote the book, and actually, I got my certification to be a trainer before that because as I was coming out of my transformation, I knew I wanted to help, and I wanted to do it the right way. So I wanted to get the training. I wanted to, know how to really do what I could do and do it officially. So that's when I went and got my certification and did all the training and, really stepped into the world of personal training. And it started with the wires and then kind of started branching out to other people with other disabilities. And ever since then, that was 2015, I think, when I first got so just coming up on 10 years this year.
Nice. Well, congratulations on
Yeah.
for sure. No, when I was surfing through the OIF message board or whatever on Facebook, I saw your post for your book, just Disable Your Disability. And that's always kind of the mentality I've always had in general. You know, being in Massachusetts and Central Mass, I was kind of a big fish in a small pond, shall we say, when it came to OI in my area. So I didn't have a ton of friends with it growing up.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of learned how to live in spite of my situation.
Mm-hmm.
And, my parents always gave me a very can-do mentality. And, if it was unsafe, then we were like, Josh, cut the shit. It's not a good idea.
Right,
But
right.
it was all kind of common sense based, and I was really lucky to have the support system I did in my younger years. Um, Growing up as a kid, I know we all kind of have different severities and whatnot. Um, did you deal with a lot of getting picked on at school or anything like that, or were kids pretty decent?
No, I had my fair share. I had my fair share of bullies and kids that didn't understand. And now that I'm wiser and more seasoned, I understand that they don't know. They just don't know what to do, right? But back then it was really painful and hurtful. And I spent a lot of time as OIers. I see that through line that we spend a lot of time on our own, right? We
Right.
really days being laid up,
Mhm.
either in the hospital or at home in casts and all that great stuff. So I spent a lot of time alone when I did, go to school. I had friends that had other disabilities too, which was great. I only knew one other person with OI, and then we lost contact. And then I didn't talk to anybody else with OI until I was in my 40s.
Oh,
But yeah, going through my childhood, it was very much me just trying to deal with it on my own. And, there's two camps in the OI world, I feel, where either the parents are very much maybe like your parents, where they're like, yeah, just go and do it, man. Just,
right.
do what you got to do. And then you have parents like mine who are like, don't do anything. Be careful, don't move. And I have type 1, which
Right.
is mild, right?
Right.
And so I had enough breaks early on to concern my parents. Of course, I was having like most of my breaks in those first like 5, 6 years,
Yeah.
so I know why they were like that. But they were that way. They wrapped me in bubble. They told me don't do anything. They were very protective of me. So there's those two camps. So I definitely was brought up in the breaking is a bad thing. Don't do it. Avoid it at all costs.
Right.
Yeah.
No, it's quite the contrast from growing up in that kind of environment to, pushing your physical limits and, getting in the shape that you got in later in life.
Yeah.
Um, what was that like for you, like mentally?
Man, it changed my entire life. Like I literally feel like I'm living a second life ever since my transformation. Cause it's, I talk about it in the book too. And there's a story I share about my mom. I don't want to spoil it for anybody that's going to read the book because it's a great story. But I can just say that, the perception of everyone around me and how they perceived me prior transformation, put it that way,
Right.
everything changed. So it had a significant change in how I operate in the world. And so not only for myself, but it was for everybody around me too. My wife, my kids, like my friends, people that have known me all my life. They're like, wow, I mean, this is like you're a totally different person, Tony. And I am a totally different person. I totally feel like I don't have the same mentality. I don't have the same thoughts. I'm much more outgoing. I don't have the same fears around the OI stuff, especially. I'm just more mindful of how I move. So there's a lot of different things mentally and emotionally. It feels great. Like I'm much happier just not being in pain every day. That alone is awesome. The fact that I can do things that I wouldn't have ever thought about doing before,
Right.
that's awesome too, because then it opens up my world. And so it's those things that I want to help other people with. That's why I'm like doing my coaching and really trying to help people really put their health as a priority, because as soon as you do that, like when I did that, my whole life changed for the better. So,
No, absolutely.
yeah.
Anytime anyone can focus on their well-being before anything else, it always ends up being worth it in the long run. I think a lot of people underestimate that.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm curious because I have not had any personal trainer work with me so far. I've done free weights off and on from my 20s onward. Um, I'd say once I hit 30, I kind of got out of shape and put on some weight. And just within the last years or two, I started on a carnivore diet and have been able to shed them back down to 85 pounds, which is good for me. Um, my top weight was 103. So being 3'3" with OI at 103 pounds, no good.
Mm-mm. No.
And so, like I said, it was just kind of one of those things that I had to find something that was low impact enough to get the weight off so that I could move enough to actually start working out again.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's still kind of a work in progress, but I definitely feel a hell of a lot better. So for somebody in our situation, you can give me like a small, like a basic overview. What sort of things do you recommend for OI patients for just basic either weight training or mobility or what have you?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, everything is personalized. Let's just be clear on that. I can give some general ideas, but anybody who's watching or listening, of course, consult with your doctor before anything. I gotta say that, but um, like with you, I think the number one thing to do is start to look at what you eat first. So anybody dealing with any weight issue, or any even before you begin to exercise, really it all starts in the kitchen. It all starts with your nutrition, because those two things will not only dictate how you're, how many calories you're taking in, but also, like you said, you want to get to a point where you feel you can exercise.
Right.
So a lot of people who are just overweight, they'll just start exercising, but they don't change their diet, or it's a very slow change, and then they get burnt out.
Yeah.
They just don't have the energy. They're not eating for working out. They're not eating for exercise. So number one is really start to look at your food. Number one. Number two, you got to just start moving, and you don't have to wait necessarily for that, but you want to start slow. You want to start with something simple. You want to you want to kind of study your body and your functions, and look for a trainer. Contact me. Let's talk about it, because like those are the things where people just kind of look for stuff maybe on social media, or they go on YouTube and they end up trying to do moves that they see, and those aren't adaptive and they're not modified. So, our bodies don't move like that. Even for me, I have type 1. I still have like mobility issues. So, I can't do all the exercises like I see someone doing it that maybe doesn't have those issues.
Right.
So what happens is a lot of people just kind of go in and just start trying to do stuff. And again, if you're not doing it right, or if you start too much, then you're going to hurt yourself. Number one, and that's the first thing we want to avoid. And the second thing is you're going to just get burnt out. So you got to have a program. You got to have some sort of guidance, because like for me, I know there was a couple times during my like 20s when I worked out with a friend, and he didn't know how to tell me how to train. And so I remember I hurt myself one time, and another time I think I worked out for like 2 weeks and I burnt out and never went back. So those are the things that happen, regardless if you have a disability. But with dealing with the disability, especially OI, there's considerations. You want to make sure you're progressing into the right intensity of workout. Got to make sure that you're eating right, and everybody's different. Everybody's different, so it just depends on where you're at. So if you use a chair, if you're able to walk around, all those factors kind of come into play. But you just got to take it slow. Look for a trainer who knows what they're doing, who's willing to kind of learn and talk with you, instead of just like trying to make you do stuff.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the I would say that's a good foundational way to approach it.
No, that certainly seems practical for me.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so obviously you put a book out, you've been doing plenty of podcasting and whatnot. Do you have any other personal goals right now that you're working toward?
Well, gosh, right now, the big thing is my coaching business. So, I just launched recently at the end of last year the Stronger Bones Coaching Group. So, for the last like 10 years, it's been off and on as far as what I've been doing with coaching. So, I've been doing like one on one stuff. I do a lot of virtual, because OIers are all around the world. So I deal with people and other people that have disabilities too. So it really has opened my reach as far as who I'm working with. So I do a lot of virtual stuff, and I was doing one on one, and then I built a platform that was kind of membership. It's called Unbreakable Body, and some people joined that, and people were coming and going, but it was really a self guided kind of thing. So coming into last year, I was like, you know what, I want to do more personalized, but I need to put it in a framework that works for everybody, especially so I could deliver it to more people. So I said, well, let me do a group coaching. So Stronger Bones Coaching Group was born throughout last year, and I launched it at the end of 2024. And that's really my focus for this year as far as growth for the business and to do more coaching. It's basically the program set up to where you come in, you get access to a weekly. I do a live workout every Monday that's virtual on Zoom. And so you get access to that. You get access to all the replays of all the workouts. We do a group coaching call every single month, so everybody gets personalized training. So basically, I'm guiding everybody and giving them specific things to do. I have workout calendars that I give to people depending on their abilities and what their goals are. And I do a members only podcast in there. I do motivational stuff. So there's a lot of things involved in the Stronger Bones coaching group. But the main thing is keeping you consistent, keeping you accountable,
Yeah.
so that you really show up and you do it. Because that's been the biggest thing that I've seen that people need the most. So the big goal right now is to continue building Stronger Bones coaching group, Unbreakable Body. I'm working on my third book now because I put out my second book last year, which was Advice to Be Unbreakable. And so I've started writing the third book now. So my goal was for this year on that one, but we'll see how that goes. And yeah, and I continue to do music. I'm a DJ, so I'm out
Oh,
playing.
nice.
I do a live show every week online. And yeah, so as far as goals right now, those are the big things that are kind of happening.
Right on. No, that's
Yeah.
great. So the Unbreakable Bones that you said is like a subscription online. So
Yeah, Unbreakable Body. Unbreakable
body, right,
Body.
right,
Yeah. So that's like a membership. So
right.
basically it's like two tiers. So Unbreakable Body is kind of like the self-guided portion of the training where you can go in and it's just a monthly membership. And then Stronger Bones Coaching Group takes it a step up to where you get the personal training now. Now you're getting the group coaching call. Now you're getting, the live workouts every single week. So it's just added benefits and more features in that program. But both are monthly subscriptions. Yep.
So would you like how would you say your program would differ from, say, if somebody with OI got a PT script or something like that to go to physical therapy and whatnot? Are there much different from that?
Yeah, for sure. My coaching and programming like is the step after you get out of PT. So it's like, you go to PT and they're giving you, really it's just a different program. They're just trying to get you to start moving and get your whatever, maybe, you had an injury or you had a surgery. So they'll actually put their hands on you and move your limbs and whatnot. And they're going to give you certain exercises to do. But my program is a step above that. So it's like now you're going to move on your own. Now you're going to do a little bit more intense. Now you're going to start to progress so that you can start to get stronger. And so that's kind of where I come in. And then the main thing is that it's fun. So like when you come and do my program, you get to train with me. I'm going to be your coach,
Right.
and I make all the workouts fun. So it's not going to be just like, okay, do 10 reps of these leg extensions, like and you're doing it with other people too, like in the live workout every Monday. It's called the energy elevator. So there's music. I'm doing all sorts of different exercises, and we're just having fun. And so it's not just you know okay guys, 10 reps of bicep curl, like it's different.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of the difference. I'm that bridge. I'm that step after PT.
Right on. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that certainly paints a clearer picture, I think. of what folks can expect. So other than doing the Unbreakable Body program and your books or whatnot, are there other shows that you do or specific podcasts that you go on other than, gracing us with your presence here?
Yeah, I mean, I try and keep the podcast schedule consistent, wherever I can jump on and share about my books and share about the coaching, share about my DJing. I go on all different types of podcasts, which is great because I love to talk music. I've been involved in music my entire life, so I do that. I've been involved with acting in the entertainment industry, in front of and behind the camera. So I'll show up on shows like that. Wherever I can find that in to just kind of talk about it. Fellow OIers that have shows, it's
Yep.
like, let's go. So um I'm doing a lot of advocacy for the OI community also. So right now I'm currently a board member of the OIF.
Oh, great.
So like I'm on the board. I just started last year, and that's a big step too for me because I've been doing like for the past, gosh, I don't know, maybe like 4 or 5 years. I wanted to do more for the community beyond like the training and the coaching. So I started doing different events that I call the OI Life events.
Mhm.
And so through that work, I started doing a monthly meeting called the OI Life Group. And so it's still going on. It's like going on 2.5 years now. And so it's great because I'm able to provide a different kind of space for the OI community where it's not so medical based. Like it's more lifestyle. Like it's just
Yeah,
for a
yeah.
place for OIers to come and like hang out. And we have this common thread that it's OI, but we're not necessarily talking about just that. We're talking about like kind of everything that's happening in life.
Right.
So I've got OI Life and I do groups and I've got the YouTube channel for that. And that's been going really strong where I do interviews with the wires there. By the way, we should do one for the
Oh,
OI
yeah,
Life
absolutely.
channel. And I do different videos, educational stuff, just informational things, lifestyle things on that channel, and that's been a lot of fun. So anywhere where I can like really spread the message of you know music movement and motivation. That's what I like to call like my mix show. Is called the Unbreakable Mix Show. And
Uh,
so that's what it's all about. So anywhere where I can go and kind of plug in those elements are the things that I do. So I'm DJing every week. I'm, promoting the books. I'm doing the coaching and helping the OI community where I can. So, I keep the plate full. I keep the plate full and we just kind of we do it up.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like a common thread with those of us with OI. We seem to be multitaskers on certain levels when it comes to at least the ambitious ones. I like I said, I do concert stuff. I play in a band. I do the podcast. Obviously, the podcast started right around COVID when obviously I wasn't gigging and all that, and I just wanted to maintain contact in the business and entertainment world, like you just said.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't had the opportunity to get out to LA or anything like that yet, but I've done some indie stuff around here and whatnot, off and on. So I enjoy that as well. Tell me about your music influences. Like, what do you gravitate towards besides the DJ end?
Well, my music career started like in my teens. I was a drummer to start.
Shit,
So,
okay.
yeah, that was like my first foray into music. I've always had rhythm, so like I kind of think that was my thing. Getting into drumming and then playing some guitar, some keyboard, mostly from by ear. I never really was formally trained on anything. But once I was exposed to hip hop, then that was kind of it. That's when and that was around my teens, so it was really the formidable years where when hip hop really started to come into play. And so I gravitated towards that. I started DJing and producing and rapping and being an MC. So, like, that was kind of where everything headed in my teens. And so, yeah, for many years, I did a lot of MCing, I did a lot of production, a lot of producing of my own songs, worked with a lot of people, and put out a lot of indie records. And then most recently, when I met my wife, even later on, we got together and we started an indie hip hop group called Dynamite Jive. And so we put out three independent records and a
Nice.
single. Our last single was 2011, but we did the whole thing, man. All through the early 2000s, we put out records. We were touring around the Southwest, doing our thing. So yeah, and then through all that, I was DJing no matter what. Like I was,
Right.
professionally DJing in clubs in LA back in 96, 97. That's when I started. So,
That was a big boom area, like you said, with hip hop and being
yeah,
in California. Like that wasn't
absolutely.
exactly my demographic, but I mean, obviously everybody knew it was going on in the 90s with Tupac and all that.
Yeah,
So it's a crazy
exactly.
time to get into that. That's great.
Yeah. So I've been DJing and since then I've been DJing. So I've, just always had a steady kind of steady gig of just DJing wherever I can cuz I just love it. It's at that point now where I just love to play. Before it was like more money based and I was like doing gigs to get paid, but
Right.
eventually it got to a point where I'm like, man, I just want to play. I just want to spin. So I play all different genres of music. My heart is in like hip hop, R&B stuff, especially like golden era,
Right.
hip hop, R&B. But I like everything. I love all types of music. So you'll catch me playing all sorts of things in the mix show.
Nice. That's
Yeah.
great. I definitely a DJ is. I wouldn't say a lost art form, but it's definitely special.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's, it's kind of anybody can do it now, but it takes it's about the music. It's about the music and really how you're kind of putting things together. And there's so many different again, there's like a lot of genres of DJing, a lot of different types of
Mm.
DJs and producers and all that stuff. And I've seen it evolve, from working on turntables. I still have my turntables and they're back there, right there.
Right.
And so, I'll pull them out and I'll play on those once in a while too. But I just love watching DJs, listening to DJs play. And it's an art form that you can do no matter how old you are. I feel like it's hip hop's a very kind of like as an MC, it was a very young person's game.
Mm.
But with DJing, I was watching DJs play until they're much older, and so it's inspiring for me because I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna keep playing. I
Oh
don't
yeah.
care. Like, I'm gonna do this until I'm done. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's exactly how I feel about. I've been playing guitar for shit now 25 years plus. And I'm just starting to get to the. I wouldn't say pro level, but we're just slightly below that at this point. On indie label and all that fun stuff. So
that's awesome.
scratching the surface of after 15 years in the music business, things are just starting to open up now. So it's just one of those things you got to stay the course,
Yeah, you got to
keep
keep
at it.
going.
Yep.
Is your goal to get? Are you gonna stay indie, or are you looking to like move to a bigger label type thing?
I mean, ideally, it's for me, it's all about kind of breaking through the glass ceiling and getting out of the system and not living on disability anymore. So whatever it takes to get to that point is, I'm trying to use what I'm good at to
Yeah,
get me out of this hole.
yeah, yeah,
Uh, it's one of those things. I think anybody with a disability has to get creative with how they live, how they survive, and how they grow. And I think that's just a constant thing for us.
yeah.
Never
And
stop.
I think it's good too for more people with disabilities to explore their creative side
Yeah.
because a lot of people feel maybe they don't, and I think we inherently have a more creative side. Again, just from years of dealing and especially amongst the OIers, I've seen that where it's like, yeah, we spent so many hours and days and weeks laid up, like we had to learn how to use our imaginations,
Right.
or we were watching a lot of TV and films and listening to music, and so there's that creative side that I feel a lot of people may not tap into and because I encourage everybody, like when I put my book out, I told everybody, I'm like, you got to write a book now. Like now it's your turn. So the more books we have, even on this subject, the better.
Oh
So
yeah.
I always encourage people, like, yeah, write your book, man. It's important to get your story out there too, and it's a creative outlet.
Yeah. I mean, I can honestly say that, like, between video games and pro wrestling and music. Like that's what kept me going
Yeah.
through my younger years when it was the hardest. I've been very fortunate in my older decades, um, to not nearly have as many breaks and, you know, traumatic events per se.
Yeah.
I mean, I still get sick and crack ribs and all that heavy horse shit, but it's a tough one sometimes, but we get through it. I mean,
Yeah.
I played rock shows with broken femurs and just kept going. Like
Yeah.
got to do what you got to do to keep that bus rolling.
It's so awesome because, like, yeah, I think a lot of us have done that where we've had
Yeah,
broken bones and still had to like do stuff, right?
right.
Like whether it's a job or whether it's I remember a couple times DJing on my crutches and it's like, yeah, you gotta do it, man. You gotta, especially if you're getting paid for something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, commitment's commitment, no matter what it is.
Yeah.
You
And
know.
it's great because a lot of people that, maybe don't have OI or don't, have a disability, they would call in sick or they would,
Yeah,
I think we have a different tolerance level for the pain and for the commitment when it comes to that sort of thing.
yeah. I think we're hungrier than the average bear.
Yeah,
I think we work harder because we know it's going to take a lot more.
that's for sure. Yep.
So yeah, like Tony mentioned, for more information on osteogenesis imperfecta, check out oif.org. It's probably your best source for information across the globe to learn more about it and learn about yours truly. And this is what we're about. We're about connecting through the wonders of technology and making the world a much more livable place and finding outlets to get us through the hard times. I think not enough people try to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Connecting with the community. And, I always encourage people that, like through the OI Life group, the meeting that I hold every month, I promote it out there pretty much everywhere. It's not just within like OI groups. So it's great because I've had quite a few people come in that are brand new to the community where they're like, yeah, I haven't met an OIer before. I haven't met anybody else with OI before. And it's really a great thing. And I always encourage people to, get connected to the community. I wasn't connected to the community for so many years. And I so wish I would have been because it would have, kind of given me the support and shown me some stuff that maybe, because I had a lot of questions or maybe some doubts or ideas or fears or whatever we're kind of feeling. When you connect with the community, you see the stories, you get to hear the stories and meet the people and sometimes it'll be, oh gosh, yeah, I can do this. If you
Right.
just get motivated and inspired to do something different, then cool. And so I think it's really important to connect with the community whenever you can, no matter what disability, too, because even in the rare disability world, sometimes it's such a small community, and we are, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you just got to connect with people because
Yeah.
you'll see there's more of us than you think,
Right.
and it's for the most part very supportive. So it's good to meet fellow OIers.
No, totally. I couldn't have said it better myself. My earlier days, I wasn't quite focused on that, but now that I've kind of, I wouldn't say past my prime, but
No way,
getting
man.
a
You're
little
just
bit up
getting
there.
there.
Yeah, exactly,
You're
exactly.
just getting in the prime.
Right.
Age
So,
is just a number.
you know,
Age is just a number.
you
Trust
know,
me.
so I mean, it's been much more rewarding in my adulthood to get connected in the community the way I have in the last few years.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it probably would have helped out a little bit, but I think I appreciate it more now.
Yeah. And I think that's what happens because even at, we're younger, through our 20s, we're just trying to live our life, right? We're just
Right,
like,
right,
I
exactly.
don't want to
Life's
deal
hard
with any of
enough.
this. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm just having fun, man. You don't want to deal with that stuff.
no,
And so I think that's a natural human thing that people go through where you're just kind
right.
of trying to find your way. But for anybody that is watching or listening and you haven't met any other OIers, come to the OI Life group, reach out to the OIF.org or come to my website and you can come to the OI Life group and just get connected because it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun too.
Yeah, and like I said, this is where Tony and I corresponded first, and
Hmm.
that's how this whole thing came about. So you
Yeah.
never know what kind of opportunities you're gonna get when you tap into that.
That's right. Yeah, I've connected with so many OIers and we've done great things. We've created content, we've, referred each other to different resources. You just never know. You just never know. Beyond the OI, maybe it's our through line, but again, I may know somebody that you need to know. And so you're going to get connected. So
Exactly. And
it's just yet,
networking has always been my number one,
yeah.
survivor skill, I think.
That's great.
It's
That
all
has
about who
not
you
been
know.
mine. That
Yep.
has not been mine. I'm just, the last maybe 10 years I've really started to learn how to do that. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's a great thing though. It's a great thing.
Well, before we wrap up here, today's episode is brought to you by Boiling Guitars, Woody's Barbershop, and much more. Go to bulldoguncensored.com/sponsors for more details. Tony, I want to thank you for coming up on the show. Look forward to chatting a little more in the future and getting more involved with OIF now that I have the time and the technology to make it happen. So let's keep in touch, my friend.
Yes, definitely. I want to see you in one of the workouts.
Yep.
So I want to see you on a Monday morning, come to
Yes,
work
sir.
out. And I'm gonna and soon I'll get another drum set and then we can jam together.
Absolutely. That sounds great.
Awesome. Thanks for having me today. I
Awesome.
appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we'll see you next time, folks. And like I said, bulldoguncensored.com for every week and every episode, you get something different. So check it out. We'll catch you next time.